Welcome to What Are You Sporting About podcast, a podcast about business, employment, sports, and entertainment to help educate, support, and guide you to your next level. Here's your host, attorney Savania DeBarros.
Hi, welcome to What Are You Sporting About podcast. This is Savania DeBarros. I'm your host. And today we have Omari J. Garrett with us, who is an esteemed mentor and athletic director. Welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and just kind of share my experiences and talk with you.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
I'm super stoked to have you on the show. And we've already had our little side conversations previously. And I was really taken with you. And so I feel like you would be a great fit for this show. So let's just dive into it. Tell us a little bit about who Omari J. Garrett is and what got you in this line of mentorship or / athletic director.
Wow. So it's been a journey. So I was born and raised in Chicago, grew up on the South Side, just was always into sports. My father and grandfather played sports. My father played in college at Illinois State, basketball. So it was just, always in me to be around sports. My mom was a teacher for over 30 something years. And so that was, naturally in me to be a teacher and sports from my dad. So it just felt like a natural fit for me to get into coaching and education at the same time.
Because my mom is a teacher. Well, now she's a dean of students, but I think she's been teaching for 20 something years. And that wasn't even what she initially wanted to do. She went to UF, she graduated with honors, but her initial goals were to become a doctor. And she was substitute teaching on the side and fell in love with it. So now she's a teacher.
Wow. So me and your mom have somewhat of a similar experience. Like my goal was I went to Norfolk State University and I majored in biology pre-med. So so my goal was to get into the medical field some way, but I wanted to get into like either athletic training, physical therapy, but really focus on athletes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my goal. After college, I didn't have the money to go back to school. Man. So I took a job in education as a teacher's aide, or called Paraprofessional. And from that experience, I really realized that Black males in education is a necessity because there's so few of us. And there's so many young Black males especially in Chicago area and these public schools that don't come across a lot of Black male mentors. Yeah. So
you definitely said a mouthful with that, because not only is there a need for adult Black male mentors in the education system, but there's a huge need for Black males who also can relate to these young sisters and brothers and really be a voice for them in a way, because when you don't grow up in the same areas as some of these kids, you don't know how they respond to certain things, And so if you can put a mentor in the same space with them who gets it, I mean, we can cut out a lot of the noise early on, instead of basically, something we're dealing with right now in this nation is victimizing Black boys,
exactly.
But if someone understood them and understood why they reacted a certain way that they did or said whatever they said, people will have enough love, in their heart and the need to really do the right thing to get at the root of what the problem may be.
Exactly. Yeah, you stated it perfectly, because it's like you said, there's so many young Black males that, that don't know how to respond to certain things because of just kind of what they've been around. Exactly. They don't know how to express themselves, their thoughts and, their dreams and so forth, and it really takes people. And I was lucky to have that in my life, with my family structure. You know, my dad, very influential. My grandfather was, you know, man, my hero. A lot of uncles around me. So, you know, I was surrounded by a lot of great, positive Black males.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand, you know, from where I grew up, is that I'm kind of a anomaly in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and it was my thing, especially going into, taking that job right after school and being around a lot of young Black males and seeing that the experiences that they experienced was some of my friends and other family members experience. It was like, all right, I got to kind of step in that gap and be that mentor, that support system, that, you know, that person that can represent what they could possibly accomplish one day.
Right. And that's a lot. That's a huge hat to wear.
It really is.
It's funny. Okay, so I have these little cousins that I absolutely adore, and they're basically, you know, my little nieces and nephews. But everything I do with them in mind. And sometimes it does feel heavy because I know whatever I'm doing or achieving, I'm not just doing it for myself, but I'm doing it for those who are going to come up after me. You know, because sometimes things would have been a lot more easier if there was someone who was already in this space that was a part of my family, or at least friends to the family, that could have just taken me under their wings and said, hey, come on, Savania, let's, you know, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. But being Black or brown, we don't necessarily have that luxury of being able to follow in the footsteps of someone. We're in this space where we're always the first ones to do something. And I mean, there is a level or certain amount of respect that comes with that. And it feels amazing, but it's so heavy. It's so heavy because then it's like, well, if I fail, I don't want them to think that they can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I've learned over time is, like, sometimes you got to, if you fail, let people know your experience of failing.
Yeah.
You know, be real about it and not, you know, just use it as
a learning curve.
Yeah. You know, so, you know, I have no problem with it. And that was me learning over time, having no problem with failing.
Yeah.
You know, I fail, but I always look at it as learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, just to express that, like, anytime I got in front of my students, I always told them to try. Like, you may fail, like you probably will fail, and that's no problem with that. But it's the learning experience that you get from that, so it won't happen again. Exactly. And, you know, it builds so much within you, so much character, and, like, keep you positive if you learn from that, instead of just saying, all right, woe is me because I couldn't do this, so I can't do nothing else.
Exactly. A young lady said yesterday, I was a part of this digital event, and she was saying one of the things that helped her in entrepreneurship is approaching every situation from a space of curiosity. So when you approach something by being curious, and when you fail, you're like, oh, well, let me figure out why. You know, here's the curiosity that's coming in. And the one thing that I responded to that was that's so awesome, because if you replace the fear with curiosity, then you don't really have the time to think about why you're scared about something, or why you're scared that you failed or will fail, because you're too busy trying to figure out why something is working or isn't working.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, no, I was like, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, that's a gem for me that I'm going to take with me.
Well, that's good. Oh my gosh. So your background is absolutely amazing. And now you're you've actually have gotten some press on being a mentor. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I know, just being in this pandemic, this is something that none of us ever experienced before. And I just know within my household, we, you know, I don't want to say we all the way struggled with it, but there was some hard times. being trapped in, being not able to hug my mom,
Right.
just like little things like that
Know what you
can
mean.
weigh on your conscience.
Yeah.
So after the first week, it was just dawned on me, all right, if I'm experiencing this, not understanding what's going on, how does my students feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
What are they
Mm-hmm.
thinking? So I wanted to make sure that I want to reach out. So I made calls, some I have text messages through Twitter, just checking in. Hey, how you doing? You need anything? You need to talk. We've had Zoom meetings with students, with groups of students,
Nice.
just to, give them a chance to just kind of just talk. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not educational. And it was, even as a teacher and as an athletic director, a lot of times my conversations with students didn't have anything to do with school.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a lot on their interests and, sports and, just them and what they're going to do later in life. So I just took that approach, still being that mentor from far away,
Mm-hmm.
where they
Mm-hmm.
can just text me, hey, Mr. Garrett, how you doing? They check in on me too.
Right. Right.
So, it was still that conversation, that's still that engagement back and forth that I'll have with, several students, because this is unprecedented times where, we don't know what's going to happen week to week. And I just wanted to make sure that mentally they're fine, and physically, that they're well.
Mm-hmm.
So I did actual workout videos.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
yeah, I was sending that out, especially for my athletes, send that out to them to continue work out, stay healthy, send them in text messages, send them in emails, whatever way I could,
Mm-hmm.
just to, let them know, hey, even though we're in this pandemic, that doesn't mean that you have to
You're
stop,
alone. Yeah.
being great. That was always my thing. When the first school I taught at, the motto was, and it's forever stuck with me: excellence without excuses.
Love
And that was
it.
the motto of the school. And I said, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's awesome. I've never heard a model like that, but it's amazing because, you know, we can all make so many excuses for why something happens or doesn't happen. But
Mm-hmm.
once you decide that you're going to remove those excuses, I mean, everything, anything is achievable because
Any,
now you're not making an excuse for why something didn't happen. You're like, you know what? Screw that. Let me do this. On to
uh-huh.
the next.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
Exactly.
so cool. You know, I was worried about kids when this pandemic happened and, you know, everybody was getting the notices that you're going to have to be quarantined because you really don't know what is going on in some of these children's personal lives.
Yeah.
You know, so abuse, whether that be emotional, physical, verbal, you absolutely have no idea. And so you stepping in to be that voice and saying, hey, y'all, don't forget, I'm here. You know, let's talk, let's hang out. You know, although, you know, albeit digital, that means a lot.
Yeah.
That
Because
means a lot.
it's, and, just listening to the students, a lot of the teachers, they're so focused on compliance where, they'll reach out and it's only about turning in assignments
Mm-hmm.
and not knowing that. And I had to tell the rest of my admin team and some other teachers, like, to stop pressing them on that. You had students that had to work because their parents got laid off. So now they're at work at 8 a.m. Yeah, they don't have time to jump in on the Zoom calls or turn in assignments and so forth, because they have to work. Now they're taking on responsibilities as a 16, 17, 18-year-old that
Exactly.
you shouldn't have to at that point. But mom, dad get laid off or they're furloughed or whatever the case. Now they have to step in and help their family.
Right. Right.
And that was happening a lot. So it was me kind of trying to talk to the adults and say, hey, like, just ease up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't know what's going on in these kids' homes. We don't know, stepdad, stepmom, issues with them. They have to watch their kid, their siblings and so forth. Like, so it was, that's why I took that approach of, just kind of checking in on their mental and their well-being more than anything. Like, I didn't care. I told them, like, I don't care if you turn in work, me as administrator, that don't sound right. Saying, I don't care if you turn in work. I want to make sure that you are fine.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you need a balance like that. You need the professionals or administrators who are going to be like, okay, let's just make sure they're on track. So, they don't get behind in graduating or whatever. But you also need the staff who cares about the child as a whole. Because if that child as a whole isn't being tended to, that emotional well-being, that physical well-being, they will automatically get behind in whatever schoolwork it is. So that that will end up getting pushed behind on the back burner anyways. So you definitely need people who are going to step in and say, I think it's more important right now. And you're right. We are definitely in an unprecedented time. But it's necessary that we check in on our kids and make sure that they're fine, because even adults are having a problem dealing with this. So I can only imagine for children who have not completely matured, you have no idea what they're probably going through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. What advice would you give to any high schooler or collegiate athlete that is probably listening to this episode right now and not sure of what they may want to do later in life?
My advice is, if you have a dream, if you have something that constantly plays in your head of what you want to do in life, pursue it. A lot of times, life will tell you not to do this, or you don't have this skill, or you can't do this. But if you have that in your head, that means that there's something within you that wants to pursue it. And again, life will knock you down. Life will knock you down, but you have to rise above any kind of setbacks. You got to still keep that focus and keep pushing through to what you want to do in life. Even as an adult, I have to do that. I go through those struggles where again, I'm changing schools, where it's like, okay, I was so comfortable at the last school. I know all the systems, I know what to do. But however, this other school is presenting me an opportunity where I can actually do what I want to do, actually do what my dream is, and to build a department that rivals any department across the United States as the high school. So I'm pushing forward today, even though people may say, dreaming too big. Yeah, I don't think dreams can be too big. We see a lot of examples of people that, wanted to do something, accomplish something, and they do it. And the other advice I would say is, you have that dream, you just work on small goals, small steps.
Yep.
You never want to just try to tackle the big picture at one time. You will get frustrated. So setting small goals to build, and during that building time, you're going to develop a lot of other skills. You're going to develop a lot of other connections that's going to help you get to where you want to go. So, you don't have to, push down on the gas and try to get to that finish line at that in the quickest amount of time. It doesn't happen like that. Just take your time, set those small goals, build to those, accomplish those, celebrate that, and then focus on the next thing. Keep on moving. So that's my advice, is to, have your goal and work towards that building blocks. No house, no construction, nothing has ever been built, just set down in the ground, and then that's the house.
I'm trying to tell you.
It's built up.
You got to build a foundation first. Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh, man, that was so great, Omari. Thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to see what you're going to do next as a mentor and as an athletic director and as an awesome Black man in this country. I'm so excited, and it was a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being on here, and I love what you're doing. Please keep doing it. This is an awesome platform to give voices to, you know, people like me that aren't well known, but can make an impact on people that I'm around. You know, so yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you for reaching out.
You're welcome, and thank you so much.
No problem.
Thanks for joining us this week on What Are You Sporting About podcast. Make sure to visit our website, prosportlawyer.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your favorite platform is, so you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, What Are You Sporting About? Attorney Savania DeBarros is available for private consulting at sldebarros.com. And remember, we're here to educate, support, and guide you in your journey to success, because we're all sporting about something.